Yo, what up though? I'm 618 C's, man. We here for the final part of the TK trial sentencing. They just went to break. So when they should be coming back from break. She said they went to recess until 4:50. I mean 3:50. So they should be coming back 50 minutes after the hour. So right now it is 3:51 Central Time. So they should be coming back on shortly, man. But as we saw earlier, Tay K was found guilty. Look at how there you go. He coming into the courtroom for sentencing. You know, I don't know. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, that young man who they murdered, he don't get to feel anything. He don't get to have any feelings. You know. But it's also sad to see this young man. Man, he was a young man. Like I said in the previous video, what up, Serena? What up? We got Lady Rena jumping in on the viewership, man. Hey, she one of my best supporters, man. Lady Rena, I just want to thank
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
you.
Officer, one last thing.
So
You mentioned
anyway,
that this
but here we
information
go now. Let's go. I'm gonna be quiet so y'all can hear.
scan database, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you know who exactly is responsible under that statutory scheme for maintaining the database?
The database or the information that enters the database?
Both.
So TextGang is run by DPS, the Department of Public Safety, and the entering agency is the one that's responsible for putting the information into TextGang.
And does it have any procedures for reports made in error?
Yes, the entering agency is responsible for removing any information that's done in error.
So it would be on the Tarrant County Jail or something, and the Tarrant County Jail was made in error.
Correct.
Okay. Do you know if there's any reporting by DPS about the rate of error in the database?
I'm not familiar with that.
Or any reporting on how reliable the database is?
TextGang does an audit every 2 years for that particular reason to try to verify and validate the information going into the database. They're very thorough. I know that because I'm the agency administrator here. So that is their effort for checks and balances.
When you say that you're the agency administrator here, you're responsible for the entries that are made to the Bear County Jail.
District Attorney's Office, not the jail.
Okay, so as to individuals that you prosecute, so prosecutors can independently upload information to the database.
We could, but we don't. We have never uploaded any information in TextGang since I've been administrator.
Okay, so you have never had to report on your error rate because you don't report that data.
Correct.
If I just explain why it's relevant and why it is within the scope. The issue here is that we have two things that are being offered. The one is the actual statement or the recording of the statement about Mr. McIntyre professing to be a member of this organization. That's one thing. The other is this individual testifying as an expert on gangs to be able to say that this is a gang that is in the database and that the members of the database are being watched and so forth and so on. And if the witness can't attest to the rate of error of the database, then there are problems with letting the jury understand that this information was uploaded to the database because it gives a sense that it's more reliable than it really is. That's the objection.
All right. The objection is on the law. The witness will be allowed to testify. If you get language yourself, please.
Oh man, it's about to go down, y'all. We got this Tay K sentencing, man. Look at that young man, man. He went from a young man to a grown man, and his life is in the jury's hand. I guess they already found him guilty, so we gonna see if we gonna get an out date or not, man. We gonna find out. I will say this: he's standing tall. You know what I'm saying? And I guess if you in that world, that's what a gangster's supposed to do. Once you in a situation that you can't get out of, you gotta stand tall. You can't fold. He's standing tall. If you want to find a positive in the situation, say he's standing tall. That's all. But it's fucked up because he took somebody's life, bro. Now you finna spend 20, 30 years dealing with the consequence of that. And it was all because you was a tough guy. Y'all was bullying the motherfucker. Y'all took his camera, robbed him, made him shoot video for nothing. You know what I'm saying? And you remember, yeah, we gotta remember this ain't the first person that he just been convicted of murdering. That's what I hate about court though. These motherfuckers take all day to say what the fuck they gotta say. Just say it and get it over with. Hey, if you think TK gonna get an out date, let me know in the comments. I'm gonna be quiet.
All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, today, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. All right, so I think we left off on your training and experience. So you're employed with the Bear County District Attorney's Office, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
And how long have you been doing that?
I've been with the Bear County District Attorney's Office for a little over 12 years now.
And what are your duties in the Bear County District Attorney's Office?
I'm a criminal investigator. My primary duty is to assist the prosecution with trial preparation.
Okay. Do you have any ancillary duties in your employment?
Yes, so I'm also the gang investigator here. I have a liaison with the Texas Anti-Gang Unit.
Ragu, this the sentencing.
Secondary
The
job
trial is
to
done. They found him not
ensure that all
guilty
of
of
our
capital murder, but they
investigators
found
have
him
access to
guilty of
research
murder.
gang,
So this the sentencing part of the trial. So we
and
gonna
to
find out now if he
consult with
finna get an
all the
out date or not.
prosecutors here to
That's what we
identify
about to
if
find out. It say he
either
faced
the
5 to
defendant or a
99
witness or a suspect
by
uh,
being not guilty
is gang
of
affiliated,
capital murder.
provide expert opinions on
He
their gang
avoided
membership, and
automatic life.
occasionally
So now he facing
participating
5 to
in custody.
99. So we gonna find out what he get.
And before you became employed with the District Attorney's Office, where did you work?
Spent 12 years with the Bear County Sheriff's Office before I came to the District Attorney's Office.
Okay, and during your time with the Sheriff's Office, what were your duties?
Started my career as a jailer. I was a jailer for 2 years, and then I spent the next 10 years as the gang intelligence officer for the Bear County Sheriff's Office. My job is with the classification section. It's a section that is responsible for housing inmates. The primary inmates I was responsible for housing were gang members.
All right. And as your duties as a classification officer, what did that routinely entail?
It routinely entailed interviewing individuals that were either suspected or self-admitted members of a gang. And so my job was to talk to them and to ensure that they were in fact an actual member so I can appropriately house them.
Okay. And so it was routine in classification that these interviews would be conducted to appropriately house the defendant, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, do you have any other specialized training regarding the recognition of criminal street gangs?
So I'm a member of the Texas Gang Investigators Association. I've been a member since my time at the Sheriff's Office. I'm also a member of the International Latino Gang Investigators Association. I've received training through both of these associations on the subject of gangs. I've also received training through the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement Training and Standards. This is what we call TCO. I've also received some standalone training during the course of my career, but my primary training came from the gang members themselves. Every time I would interview these individuals, they would teach me really, how to recognize their affiliation with the gang, where what.
All right, that will be sustained.
Motion to instruct the jury to disregard.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll disregard the last statement.
Motion to mistrial.
Denied.
All right. Now, have you, or were you I guess in your analysis of whether a defendant is associated or a member of a criminal street gang, can you kind of explain to the jury how you would obtain that information?
The primary thing that we do is we simply ask the individual, are you a member? Being that it's a correctional setting, many individuals will self-admit gang affiliation, so they are housed with their own people. We don't put them in a liable gang. Outside of the self-admission, outside of us just asking, there's a number of things that we look at to identify gang affiliation. Gang members are experts in nonverbal communication. We've all seen it, whether it be a tattoo, clothing, gang hand signs. So we have training and expertise in identifying those nonverbal cues to identify gang affiliation. Secondly is the intelligence, whether it be from jail calls or jail mail or other individuals. Finally, we look at the cases. What are they charged with? Who are they charged with? Where do these crimes occur? Are these crimes occurring in neighborhoods that are notorious for a particular gang or gang set?
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's in work as Exhibit P3. to bring it back to the-
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, have you seen this Exhibit P3 before?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Okay, and can you explain to the jury what P3 is?
P3 is a gang acknowledgement form. So in a correctional setting, when you identify somebody as a gang member, we want to make sure we capture that information. We capture it by documenting it in a gang form. What I have here in P3 is a gang form.
Okay, and just regarding Exhibit P3, I know earlier you spoke when the defendant is classified in the jail during documentation. And so did you reach out to the county jail and personally obtain Exhibit P3?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
I'm tendering to defense for inspection, but at this time the state offers Exhibit P3 under related.
Your Honor, can I point out witness something?
Yes.
Officer, in reviewing P3, there are photographs of Mr. McIntyre without a shirt on, correct?
Yes, sir, there are.
They document some tattoos that Mr. McIntyre has.
Yes, sir, they do.
You're not testifying that any of those tattoos are affiliated with any criminal organization or a marker of those organizations, are you?
I am not, sir.
Okay. And no new objections.
All right, State's Exhibit P3 is admitted.
Permission to publish. Your Honor.
Granted.
Okay, sir, I guess, and so have you had a chance to review the contents of State's Exhibit?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Have you formed an opinion as to the defendant Taylor McIntyre's involvement in a criminal street gang?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
And what is that?
Objection, opinion on all submission.
Overruled.
You can answer.
He is a member of the Long Beach and Crips.
Now, I'm publishing Exhibit P3. Can you explain to the jury what this first page is?
When you receive a documents and you want to have them admissible in court, we would
Objection,
get,
Your Honor,
be sustained.
Motion to disregard.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you should disregard the last question.
All right, Sergeant Rodriguez, regarding this first page, is this something that you received, when you requested the evidence from Tarrant County?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
All right. Now regarding this page, I guess, can you see it up there?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
All right. Can you explain to the jury what this page is?
This is the document used by law enforcement to capture and collect information acknowledging gang affiliation.
All right. And just regarding the name of the person, can you tell the jury what that name is?
Yes, ma'am, it's,
Sorry, Your Honor, just for, make sure the record's clear, if I could have a running objection, this is the explanations about the content of the document as to my hearsay confirmation and 702 objections. I just want to make sure I'm not projecting all through her examination.
All right, ready to me.
All right, can you please tell the jury what that name associated with this gang is?
yes, the name is Tamor McIntyre.
And what is the CID?
That is the correctional identifying number. That is a number used by this corrections agency. It's a unique number specifically attached to Tamor McIntyre.
All right, and regarding the date of birth associated with the defendant,
June 16th, 2000.
and sorry, just to back up, what is the CID associated with this defendant?
That is the specific and unique number given to the defendant by the agency.
And what is that in this case?
What is the agency or the number?
The number.
The number is 0905728.
All right, and, can you explain to the jury, what the affiliation, moniker, and ranking is?
The affiliation is the name of the gang. So in this case, Tamor has identified himself as a Long Beach Insane Crip gang member. The moniker is the nickname that he uses as a member of that gang. In this case, it's KK47, and he's identified himself as a member of that gang.
All right. Regarding the affiliation or ranking determined by, can you explain that to the jury?
Yes, ma'am. So this, what they're identifying here on the form is how they identified him. In this case, number 3 is selected, indicating that Tamor has identified himself as a member. Number 6 has been selected. There are a number of options under number 6, ranging from gang dress, hand signs, tattoos, or symbols. In this particular case, he provided intelligence on hand signs that are unique to this particular gang. And finally, number 8, which is use of technology or the internet or recruitment.
Now, I'm going to object First Amendment, right of free association, right of free expression.
All right, that'll be on the motion.
Thank you. Now, regarding, this area, I guess, can you, explain to the jury what you reviewed regarding this specific comment section?
These are the notes that are documented by the agency. In this particular case, it is indicating that he self-admitted membership on July 26, 2017 with the Eastside Long Beach Insane Crips. It also indicates that photos were taken of the defendant and social media photos were collected during the course of their investigation.
Now regarding what's depicted on the screen, can you just explain to the jury what they're seeing?
These are images that they collected during the course of their investigation into his social media profiles. As it's identified in the gang letter, the defendant explained what these hand signs mean in these images.
And I guess hand signals, are those something that are synonymous with different gangs?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
And each gang has their own hand signals, is that correct?
Yeah.
Sustained.
Regarding the gangs, do all gangs have the same hand signals?
No, ma'am, they do not.
And so I guess regarding this hand signal, what was it self-identified as?
This particular hand signal identifies the gang, the East Side Long Beach Insane Crip. This is a specific hand sign that identifies the gang.
And regarding this hand signal, what was that self-identified as?
Bloods and Crips are part of a larger universe. They're part of nations, people, and folk nation. In this particular case, he's throwing a hand sign that represents the folk nation. It's just a larger group within the group that he's representing.
And then this hand signal, what was that self-identified as?
This particular hand signal, he's identifying is a status within the gang, a rugrat. This is could mean a prospective member or somebody who's entering the gang.
And I guess, can you just explain to the jury what this form is that they're seeing?
At the time of housing, classification officers will ask a series of questions. These are stability factor questions. These enable the classification officer to appropriately house. These questions are generally outside the gang affiliation. These are more about the individual themselves.
And then just regarding this line right here, can you explain to the jury what that is?
Yes, it's a little redundant, but it's, once again, they ask the defendant if he's a member of a gang, to which he replied that he's a member of the Crips and gave his alias or nickname.
Now regarding the photos that we just saw with the hand signals, what did you personally see when you observed those photos?
Outside the hand sign, once again, gang members are notorious for nonverbal communication. The Long Beach Insane Crip generally wear black or gray, and in almost all of those images, he's wearing a black shirt, which is another indicator of gang membership.
Okay, and are you familiar with the criminal street gang of the Crips?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, and based on your knowledge of that gang, do you have an opinion as to the purpose of the gang?
Objection, relevance.
Relevance. Well, Judge, I mean, it goes to the reputation and character of the defendant.
It's a different gang than what you just testified to.
Well, I'll re-ask the question.
All right, so that objection will be sustained.
Motion to instruct the jury to disregard the question.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you did disregard that last question.
Motion for mistrial.
Denied.
All right, so, as part of your employment with the Bear County District Attorney's Office, do you, keep updated with any literature, that's coming up about any gangs?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, and so, regarding this Long Beach Insane Crips gang, have you been able to form an opinion as to the purpose of the gang?
Yes, the gang is a criminal enterprise. That's a group that is designed or created for the sole purpose of engaging in criminal activity for the benefit of the gang.
And are you aware of any crimes specifically associated with this subset of the Crips?
With this particular one, no.
Okay. And regarding the overlying or folk nation Crips, what are the crimes associated with those gangs?
Yes, the Crips.
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
You can answer.
The Crips are a criminal enterprise. They engage in crimes ranging from narcotics all the way up to murder.
And based upon what you've reviewed and State's Exhibit P3, have you formed an opinion as to whether the defendant was a member of the Insane Long Beach Crips?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that opinion?
He is a member of the gang.
We cross the witness, Your Honor.
Defense.
Thank you, Your Honor. You said you're primarily employed with the Bear County District Attorney's Office, right?
Yes, sir, I am.
And so you're obviously familiar with this case and Mr. McIntyre's reason for being in court, right?
Vaguely from what I've seen on the news and whatever.
so you haven't reviewed any of the evidence in this case?
No, sir.
So you're not giving the jury an opinion that anything about the criminal offense that we're here to talk about was done in conjunction with criminal street gang or for or because of the criminal street gang?
I don't have any of that knowledge, no, sir.
Okay. You testified a moment ago on what I just want to make clear. There are photographs of tattoos that Mr. McIntyre's in that packet that the jury has, right?
Yes, sir.
You're not saying any of those tattoos are affiliated with the Long Beach Insane Crips?
Yeah, I have no knowledge of that, sir.
Okay. As far as the hand gestures that you mentioned, you don't have any personal knowledge of seeing people throwing up those signs as being gang signs, do you?
No, I do have personal knowledge of seeing people throwing up gang signs.
And I guess what I mean by that is, have you ever seen a person in real life throwing up those specific gang signs to show allegiance and affiliation to the Long Beach Insane Crips?
For the Long Beach Insane Crips, no, sir, I have not.
Okay. You indicated that the reason why you have this material is because it was self-reported by Mr. McIntyre when he was booked into the Tarrant County Jail, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that would have been in July of 2017, is that correct?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Okay, so after the date of offense in this case, right?
I don't know the offense date.
Okay, April 23rd, 2017 would be before this information was reported, right?
Sure.
So we don't have any knowledge or any record that indicates he was an affiliate or member of this gang at the time of the offense, correct?
I'm unaware of it, sir.
Okay. You indicated that this is something that's done for all people who are being brought into the jail in Tarrant County, right?
I believe this happens in all the jails, sir.
It happens here, for example, too, correct?
Yes, sir.
You didn't provide any records of Bear County classification, right? Bear County just used what Tarrant County says.
And I didn't see anything from Bear County, so I would have to assume that yes, they use what Tarrant County.
But we don't want you to assume. So you have not seen anything from Bear County, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you were talking about the nature of criminal gangs. You'd agree with me, there are criminal gangs that operate out in the free world, and there are criminal gangs that operate solely within correctional institutions, be they jails or prisons.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes those organizations span both, and sometimes they don't, right?
Yes, sir.
You don't have any specific information about how the structure of the Long Beach Insane Crips operates, do you?
I have some knowledge about it, sir.
Well, I mean, as to whether it's primarily a jail gang, primarily a prison gang, primarily a gang that operates out in the free world, you don't know much about its structure, do you?
So, for this particular gang, there are two parts of it. You have the street gang, which is a Long Beach, and you have the Crips, which is a prison gang.
Okay, well,
This group is both.
let me back up. The Crips is a term that encompasses hundreds, maybe thousands of different groups of people, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're not suggesting that all of those people know each other, talk to each other, get the newsletter, right?
I'm unaware of these letters, sir.
Okay, you're unaware of any other way in which there's mass communication between all of these people, correct?
No, I am aware. So it is an organized gang. They do have an organized structure, and I'm talking about the Crips as a whole, not the individual subsets. And they do communicate. You are well aware of that.
Let me just ask you this, you're aware that some groups that would call themselves Crips are actively in gangland wars with other members of the Crips, right?
Yes, sir, that's true.
So just the fact that they're both Crips doesn't mean that they're unified together, right?
Depends which ones you're talking about.
But there are certainly, not all of them are on the same page, fair to say?
Sure, yes, sir.
Okay. And you're aware that there are lots of legitimate business things that individuals who identify as Crips engage in, right?
Yes, sir.
They own businesses, for example.
Oh, I'm unaware of that.
Okay, you're aware that there are a lot of popular musicians and artists that identify as being members of some subsect of the Crips, right?
I've heard of that, yes, sir.
And of the Bloods, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the Crips and the Bloods have predominantly been African-American gangs, right?
Yes.
Just relevant.
I think it's extremely relevant.
What's the relevance?
We're talking about jail classification, and reasons why someone might jail classify other than a desire to commit criminal activity.
All right. Objection is overruled.
So the Crips and the Bloods are predominantly African American gangs, right?
Yes, sir.
You know, the Orejones and the Tango Blast and Latin Kings are predominantly Hispanic gangs, right?
Yes, sir.
The Aryan Brotherhood is a white supremacist gang.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so people that book into a jail, when you talked about wanting to be housed with their own people, part of that is about if they are a member of a gang, they don't want a rival gang to be where they live, right?
Correct.
But it's also to some degree about racial divide, is it not?
Depends on the gang.
I mean, an African American probably doesn't want to classify as an Aryan brother, right?
I would think not.
Okay, and that's about their personal protection and safety in the jail.
Sure.
Okay. Were you asked to do a review of any other individuals in association with your work in this case?
No, sir.
Okay. So you would be unaware if any other individuals that were investigated in this case are members of any criminal street gang?
Correct.
Okay. And this information, to be clear, comes from a centralized database maintained by DPS, right?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. McIntyre's entry into that database had actually fallen off, you said, correct?
Yes, sir.
Meaning that he reported it so long ago that it's no longer in the database today, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You had to go back to Tarrant County to find their records to see that that was something he said when he was first classified.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you don't know of any corroborative work that's done by the people in Tarrant County to confirm what Mr. McIntyre or anybody else says when they self-report affiliation, right?
I don't understand that question.
So, I mean, if someone walks in and they say, I'm a member of such and such criminal street gang, right? And somebody goes, okay, well, fill out this form, check the box, you know, I'm gonna put it in the system. You don't know of any efforts that are done to go and check that out, right? It's not like, well, or do you?
Well, he housed with other members in
Okay.
Tarrant County, and he seemed to be fine over there. So I think the members cooperated the information for us.
Okay, so you think just because no incidents occurred while he was locked up with those people, that corroborates it, right?
I mean, I would think so, yes, sir.
Okay. But it's not like someone who's out there, you know, hitting the streets in the free world, interviewing people to confirm whether or not what a man says when he's booked into the jail is actually true as far as the free world is concerned.
I'm unaware of any of that, sir.
Jails are very difficult places to be living, right?
Protection, relevance.
Overruled.
A jail is a difficult place to live, wouldn't you agree?
I would think so, yes, sir.
You're surrounded by people who are there because they've either been accused of or convicted of breaking the law.
Yes, sir, that's true.
And so people are sometimes violent in jails,
I believe so, yes, sir.
and there's drug use in jails.
I'm sure there is.
There are people who are trying to blackmail other people in jails.
I would think so, yes, sir.
Well, you worked at the sheriff's office too, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you're aware that the sheriff's office has extensive training of their jailers to how to avoid being blackmailed by people, you know, who are locked up in there, right?
Yes, sir.
So you know that those kinds of con games and attempts at compromising a person happen all the time in jails.
It does happen, yes, sir.
There's people being sexually assaulted in jails,
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
right?
I'm sure there is, yes, sir.
Okay. And so there are only a finite number of jailers that can watch these people, right?
Yes, sir.
And there's recording equipment and surveillance equipment in jails, but it doesn't catch every single nook and cranny of the jail, right?
Correct.
And so people often have to look out for themselves when they're locked up. You agree?
Yes, sir.
And that requires not doing things that will upset other people who might not be the most reasonable and rational, right?
Sure, yes, sir.
You don't want to pick fights with somebody who's, you know, 6'5", 5-time serial killer, right? That wouldn't be a good idea, you agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It means that if you are trying to avoid being taken advantage of and things like that, you need to try and make relationships with other people, other inmates.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that the name of this group is the Long Beach Insane Crips, right?
Yes, sir.
And you mentioned that as it stands in the free world, their origin is in Long Beach, California.
Yes, sir, that's true.
Okay. And you know that as groups get more prominent in different facilities in different states, different jurisdictions, there may be differences in leadership or policy or attitude between those different facilities, right?
I'm sure that's true, yes.
Okay. And you don't know anything about the president of the Long Beach Insane Crips that would be running things in Texas,
No, sir, I do not.
or any of the other officers that might be involved in that structure,
No, I do not.
or even if that's how exactly they structure their organization.
With your exact, terms that you're using right now?
Well, right, I mean, when we think of an organization, we think of it as having a hierarchy, right?
Yes, sir.
But not all groups have the same kind of a hierarchy.
In organized crime, which is what the Crips are, there is an organized structure. What this particular organized structure
I'm
is,
gonna object to non-responsive.
Call the roll. You can answer the question.
the Crips are an organized structure. They have an organization. I think you're asking me to use your words to identify that organized structure. What I'm telling you is, I don't know who the members are that meet those particular organized, ranks, but they do have them.
Okay, well, what are the ranks?
Well, you have what's called an OG, or an original gangster. This is somebody who's a founding member. And then you have a youth, or a youth member. We have different other names for them. And in between all that, you have soldiers, which are either incarcerated in prisons or out in the streets.
Okay, so you think that generally that's how all of these gangs operate?
No, sir.
Okay, you think that that's how the Crips operate?
Some Crips, yes, sir.
Some Crips.
Correct.
As to the Long Beach Insane Crips, you don't have any specific information about members fulfilling these hierarchical roles.
No, sir, I do not.
Pass the-
Sergeant Rodriguez, in Texas, is there such thing as an ex-gang member?
Yes, there is.
Okay. And if somebody was an ex-gang member, when they go to be classified, is that something that would be notated on the documentation?
Yes, ma'am, it would be.
Okay. And when we talk about corroboration and whether people in Tarrant County went to corroborate, I mean, the photos that you've seen, you'd agree with me, those were taken way before the defendant was ever in the Tarrant County jail,
Objection,
correct?
pleading, Your Honor.
All right, with regards to leading, that would be sustained.
Motion to instruct the jury to disregard the question.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, disregard the question.
Motion to disregard.
Denied.
Have you had a chance to observe, the photos that are contained in State's Exhibit Q3?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Okay, and specifically, these photos, were those taken when the defendant was inside of the Tarrant County Jail?
No, ma'am, they were not.
Okay, and so, I mean, in your opinion, would these hand signals
Your Honor, I'm objecting
corroborate?
to personal knowledge. Which are you referring to? I'm sorry.
Objection is overruled. You can answer your question.
Just a second.
Oh, I see. I withdraw the objection.
All right, now regarding, this photo that's depicted on the overhead, is that photo taken in the Tarrant County Jail?
No, ma'am, it's not.
All right, and so would the hand signals corroborate the defendant's self-admission in your opinion?
Yes, ma'am, they would.
Who passed the witness, sir?
Briefly, Your Honor. You indicated that these documents and these photographs showed something about a gang sign about being a rug rat, right?
Yes,
Which you indicated was someone who's a prospective member, correct?
yes, sir.
Which would mean that they're not a member of the gang at the time. They're trying to get in.
Right, correct.
You are not aware of any specific crime perpetrated on behalf of the Long Beach Insane Crips, right?
Can you rephrase that?
You don't know of any specific crimes that have been committed for or by the Long Beach Insane Crips to promote or further its enterprise.
So are you asking if I have direct personal knowledge of a specific crime committed by that group, or am I aware of the gang's involvement in criminal activity?
The first question.
I am not aware of specific crimes committed by that gang.
No further questions, and excuse my state.
Excused.
All right, the rule has been invoked. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone during the pendency of this trial. All right, state, call your next witness.
City restaurant. Yeah, we trust you.
Yes.
Yo, this 618 C's, man. C's World Reacts, man. We here with the TK trial. This is the sentencing. Earlier, he was found guilty of murder and found not guilty of capital murder. So he avoided a life sentence. So they just taking a break right now. We gonna see what's going on though. Stay with me. If you heard, man, hit that like button for me one time. I really appreciate it. If you're a new viewer, make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. We be dropping videos every day, man. Also, what do you guys think about that testimony? What do you think? How relevant do you think that was to the actual sentencing? We gonna find out. They not saying nothing right now. They on some type of break or something, so they silenced the microphones in the courtroom. But what do you guys think about what's going on? Do you think that testimony from that police officer was relevant to the sentencing and how much time he was gonna get? Okay, they back on. I'm gonna be quiet.
I'm gonna speak to both the state and the defense to see what time they would like for you all to be back tomorrow, because I don't want you to come back in the morning just for me to tell you, no, it's going to be the afternoon. So just give us a few minutes to decide that, all right? Here's my instructions. You're not allowed to do any research on this case. Again, everything that you need to know about this case during the phase of this trial has come from inside the courtroom. You're not allowed to start deliberating internally with yourself or with each other. Just don't even think about this case unless you're inside this courtroom. Does everyone understand? All right, so if you all will wait for me in the jury room, and I will come back there as soon as possible, tell you when we'll start tomorrow. Everyone please rise for the jury.
All right, y'all. So look, that was part one. So it looked like they gonna come back tomorrow or they gonna finish it. So if hold on.
So, yes, if you can let me know what time, and again, if your witness needs to appear by Zoom, they can appear by Zoom.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you so much for that accommodation. Give me a moment. I realized my phone just died, so I gotta power it up so I can make these calls.
All right, no problem. And while they're doing that, if y'all can collect the evidence and make sure that it's together for Sydney.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. So it look like they gonna finish up tomorrow, so they won't be announcing his sentencing today. So we gonna tap back in tomorrow and see what's going on, man. For everybody that stayed to view, man, I appreciate y'all. This was the day one of the TK trial sentencing. So they just letting finding out what time they gonna bring the jury back in tomorrow. So that ain't really important to keep you out here watching, man. But I appreciate y'all, man. If ain't nobody told you they love you, man, I'm 618Cs. I'm out, man. We'll be back tomorrow for day two. Appreciate y'all. Peace.
Yes.